Good news is your dates are here.
What's the bad news?
They're dead.
Oh, you're so cool, Brewster! Everybody's a suspect! Hey, Ted, where the hell's Corkscrew? Don't fuck with the Chuck!
Thanks for tuning back in to Toe Tag Movie Reviews. I'm Chuck, and today we're going to be talking about Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. There's a lot I got to say about this movie. A couple good things, a lot of questionable things. It was originally called Ashes to Ashes. They did that so there wouldn't be any leaks. They changed the name Jason to Ethan, which I respect that because especially in like today's age, everyone's leaking everything before they even start shooting movies. It's so crazy how much leaks come out. You can only imagine like how it was in the 80s. So, but I respect that aspect of it. It was filmed in Vancouver because filming in New York was so expensive. Kane Hodder was originally supposed to kick Rennie's dog, and I'm really glad he didn't. Pulled the director Rob Heaton aside and voiced his opinion on it. It's not in Jason's nature to kill animals. I'm really glad they did that because they scrapped that from the script. At least he's better in that field, I should say, unlike Michael Myers, because he'll just kill and eat dogs.
He got hungry.
Don't be a dick. And especially like Rennie's dog Toby, he's such a good boy. Like he's such an adorable dog in this movie. So the movie starts with a montage of like the different classes of New York. You have like the homeless people, the druggies out on the streets. You have rich people getting mugged in alleys. You see the working class having like their dinner in like a little diner and shit. I thought that was like just a nice touch. The Darkest Side of the Night by Metropolis is playing, and this song is already added to my playlist. This song is fucking sweet. They play it at the opening credits and the end credits. But we get to see like this horny couple, Jimmy and Susie. They're getting ready to have sex.
You looking for sex?
He's got to go drop the anchor. He kind of gets spooked. So when he goes back inside, he tells Susie the backstory and the lore of Jason Voorhees because that's kind of where they were at in Crystal Lake. As they drop the anchor, you see Jason's body at the bottom of the lake. Anchor is like dragging and hits like a power line. Just like in part 6, pretty much the same exact way as in part 6. It electrocutes him and it brings him back to life. I've said it in past couple videos. Friday the 13th has a lot of cool shots. When it starts electrocuting them, you see like the arcs underwater. I don't know, just the way it was shot, like the flashes, everything was so fucking cool. The power going in and out of the boat. Anyway, they're getting ready to go at it. My boy Jimmy is rocking the Marty McFly purple whitey tighties, so respect to that. Jason comes down and kills him with harpoon gun, just like he did in part 3. And then he kills Susie, who's hiding in like this like little cockpit little thing. It's the slowest like stab ever. And she's just screaming. But when she's hiding, she's not like whimpering or crying or like any emotion at all. She's just kind of... What the fuck? You just got attacked and your boyfriend just got killed, you know what I mean? And you're sitting there in a cupboard, twiddling your thumb. Like, what the hell? But every time you see Jason in this movie, he's extremely wet and slimy. Like, one thing that really bothers me about it is every scene he's in, you hear the... from like the water in his shoes sloshing around. No one else can fucking hear it though, but it's prominent in this movie. Every time you see him, it's just that noise every step, and everyone's just so oblivious to it. Rennie's going on a cruise to New York because her class is graduating, and we get to see her guardian slash uncle. His name is Charles, and he is the most abysmal character. I mean, I hated characters before in this series. He takes the cake. He just non-stop. He's so aggressive and just bitchy for no reason. The dude's just a turd, man. Straight up a slimy, wet fucking turd. He gets what's coming to him. I'll get into it. Just wait. We see Jason come out of the water and grab the rope. He's totally hitching a ride.
No free rides!
Also on the ship, one of the deckhands is like a great value version of Crazy Ralph. Every time you see him, he's...
This voyage is doomed. Yeah, tell me about it.
Oh, you motherfucker!
It's like a nice callback, a little homage. We get to be introduced to JJ, who is shredding licks on this awesome fucking flying V. Doing her thing, rocking out. She ends up going to the bottom of the ship because there's better acoustics. we see Jason down there, and he takes the flying V and kills her with it. And I thought it was a really like cool, and it's also an iconic death in the series. Him with a pink flying V guitar, such a cool like moment. We get to see Rennie having she like throughout the whole movie, she has these visions of Jason, and each vision of him, it just looks different. It looks like he's played by different actors, different makeup. One scene he's got hair, movie goes on towards the end, he's completely bald and like his eyes all droopy and shit. We get to be introduced to Julius, who is totally kicking ass. Not really breaking a sweat either. And he's just throwing combos left and right like he's getting fucking paid for it. Rennie gets offered some cocaine by a couple girls, or classmates I should say. She's not about that life. She's not about cocaine. After the boxing match, the guy that Julius was just beating up on, he goes to the sauna to kind of relax and recover, and Jason creeps in there and he takes a hot rock, punches the dude right in the chest, kind of burns on the inside, and that's what I want to see. I still prefer more graphic detail, personally. It was a good kill nonetheless. We see one of the girls that offered Rennie coke, her name is Tamara. She straight up shoulder checks her overboard. We get to find out later on that Rennie has a fear of swimming, I guess. We get to see her be pulled under. Sean jumps overboard, rescues her, and we get to see her uncle Charles. Once again, he's just like a fucking abysmal character. He's just screaming and being an asshole to everyone, blaming everyone that she went overboard and how Rennie should not even be on the ship at all. And once again, you see the crazy Ralph knockoff at the top saying that this voyage is doomed and everyone's gonna die and shit. Yeah. Tamara seduces Charles with like this really clever / really corny biology thing. So she like draws on her chest with like marker and she starts like making out with him, and then Wayne catches it. He's like recording the whole thing. They pretty much are gonna like blackmail him in a sense. Tamara goes to shower to get all the marker and everything off. She kind of hears a noise, so she opens the door. You see Jason walk in.
Nope.
He does the typical punch through the door, attack him. We see Tamara like run like a straight dash right into the mirror. And every time I watch it, it's so funny because it's so badly acted. Jason makes his way to the captain's quarters, I think. I don't know, it's at the top where they're all like steering the wheel and everything. He kills another deckhand, or the first mate, I should say. He slits the captain's throat in a very slow-mo, like really delayed reaction. And it's so fucking corny, but I love it. We see Jason in the middle of like a rainstorm. He cuts off the communication, which he's done that in almost every installment now I think about it. But it's such a smart move on his end because you cut off communications, now you're isolated. So now that level of fear and panic just skyrockets. Ava goes to find Tamara, but she finds her body, and then she encounters Jason. In this movie, we really get to see like Jason's like teleporting abilities, because every single time you see him, he's like teleporting. Whether you look one way, he's there. If you look another way, he's there. It's so over the top. I never thought I'd say this. It's too much Jason. And don't get me wrong, I love Jason, but like the whole teleporting aspect of it, it's just done way too much. And it kind of takes away from like the suspense and like the thrill of like, where's he gonna be? Where's he gonna pop out at? You know what I mean? She runs to like this really cool like dance floor. Like I said, every time she looks around, he's there. He ends up choking her and completely yeets her across the fucking floor. And the way she hits, the impact is so brutal. I love it. It's so cool. Julius and the gang like kind of arm up and they're getting ready to find the killer on board because no one's believing, well, I should say everyone thinks it is Jason except for Charles. He's always like shutting that shit down. Wayne accidentally shoots a deckhand because he like steam blasts him in the face and he loses his glasses or some shit. And then Jason kind of attacks him and he skedaddles away. Because he lost his glasses and the acting is so fucking corny, it's like Scooby-Doo. It's like you can't see this close in front of you. So everything is completely blurry. It's really ridiculous, but Jason ends up grabbing him and throwing him onto an electrical panel and igniting him. The whole ship's going ablaze because of a dead body. Jason pretty much starts picking everybody off one by one. He goes after this one high school kid. He's climbing up a fucking ladder. And you see like Jason just standing there. And the dude's like 50 feet up in the air. And just like that, he grabs him and throws him, kills him. He like impales him on like a wooden stake or something. And then Julius comes around the corner and he throws him off the ship. And he does the perfect swanton bomb to the point where like Jeff Hardy, the charismatic enigma, would be jealous.
I mean, it was to the stars. I mean, it was limitless.
The ship is starting to fill up and everyone's freaking out. They're trying to pull a Titanic, and even though these guys did it first, Titanic did it better because like the way it's shot, the water rising, the tight corridor spaces, it felt very Titanic. They like lower the lifeboat and Julius pops up out of the water and they end up rowing themselves to... When they arrive in New York, they end up getting mugged by a couple like homeless like drug addicts. They take Rennie, they inject her with heroin, I guess. It's like this green acid looking thing. It looks like the fucking Heisty like ecto cooler. It looks very bad. Jason ends up showing up, killing both of them, keeping our streets clean. Jason attacks Julius, but he ends up getting away, and he ends up climbing up this ladder, and it's one of the most iconic moments throughout the whole series, and this series has a lot of iconic moments. Julius is throwing combos left and right, and Jason's taking it like a champ, dude. Like, can we get a round of applause for Jason? Like, he's got an iron fucking chin. He punches his head clean off, one punch. It's fucking awesome. All right, now from this point on, it's gonna start getting real nitpicky on my end. Rennie finds Sean and Charles and like just everyone. They get in a police car and they take off. They hit Jason, they run him over, so he's unconscious. And then not even 5 seconds later, she sees baby Jason or young Jason. And this is when his eyes all droopy and shit, and he's bald all of a sudden. I really don't understand like the visions of Jason or the connection she has with him. It makes no sense. Maybe I just never picked up on it. If that's the case, that's my fault. There's really nothing that ties Rennie to Jason at all. But then she like looks in a puddle and has a fucking flashback of her as a kid and her Uncle Charles, who looks exactly the same. They're like out in a little like rowboat. She keeps saying that she wants to learn how to swim, and he just pushes her off the fucking boat and it's like, Jason's gonna get you. You gotta learn how to swim. Jason's gonna get you. Sure as shit, Jason's like underwater, pulling her underwater. It doesn't make fucking sense to me. Like I said, this movie's got a couple things going for it, and that's it. Just a couple. Jason ends up showing up, finally killing off Charles. He dunks him in like this barrel of toxic waste goo. I don't fucking know. It's green and there's like rats in there and everything. I don't know, it's New York. Rennie ends up telling Sean about her parents and how everyone that she has loved and cared for, she ends up losing. And they end up sharing a kiss, but if you really pay attention to the kiss, it's so out of sync. Because when she goes to kiss, like his mouth's like just now opening and like it's not like a smooth, like intimate kiss. It's just very out of sync, kind of like how I do it. They get on the train, he pulls the lever, and Jason ends up fucking sliding right into first base. This is another part that doesn't make fucking sense. Jason gets out of the car, or the train car or whatever, and as he's walking down the subway station, Sean tackles him. He ends up like laying on the train track and gets electrocuted. But in the next scene, you see Sean's hand on the actual train track itself, but he's not being electrocuted. I don't know. Anyway, Jason, like, he's super like overpowered in this. Like, nothing keeps him down. He ends up walking down Times Square, kicking the jukebox.
You a dead meat slime bag. Yo, man, it's cool. It's cool, man. It's cool.
Rennie and Sean end up going like through some diner. We get to see Jason versus Jason because the big burly motherfucker that's walking towards Jason is Ken Kurzinger, and he plays Jason in Freddy vs. Jason. Kane Hodder's got to show him why he is Jason. He ends up chucking his ass right across the diner. They end up making their way back underground. You see Jason obviously trailing behind them. There's a like city worker, and he's telling them that they got to get out of there because at midnight, every single night, toxic waste goes through the sewer system, washes everything out. We see Rennie pick up like a bucket of toxic waste and throw it right at Jason's face. And his immediate reaction, for some reason, is to take his mask off. I don't know why, but I don't like it. And B, this is the only time we hear Jason make a noise. He like screams, I guess. The toxic waste comes and floods everything out. We end up seeing Jason finally defeated and his mask floating away, which also doesn't make sense because at the end of New Blood, Tina like uses her telekinetic powers and breaks his mask when he turns around. His mask cracked in half and now he's got a fucking new one. What? I don't understand it. Anyway, they end up climbing out of the sewer system and living happily ever after. Yeah, this movie, it's got a couple strong moments, and then a lot of, like I said, questionable, and overall just not really a good movie. My fiance, Kaylee, this is a guilty pleasure of hers, so I can't really give her too much shit about it because my guilty pleasure is Scream 3. And I hold that like way up here. I never go out of my way to throw this one on first, second, third, fourth, or fifth. If you do like this movie, my hat's off to you. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you guys have that notification bell on. And do me a favor, give James a comment, please. He does a lot of hard work and puts a lot of time into making these videos. I'm a editing idiot. I don't really know shit about editing. He just has that flavor, that flair, you know what I mean? He just knows what he's doing. It'd mean a lot to me and it'll mean a lot to him. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Until then, see you later.